All right, everyone, welcome back into another PrizePicks video. Going to be getting to the top props in MLB and PGA today, hopefully giving you guys a good Flex Friday slip. But first, just a recap from yesterday's slate. So 2 for 4 on the day, which typically speaking with the hot dogs would have been a good day using my strategy. Most of you guys are familiar with that. If not, it's in the link in the description below. But unfortunately, Aaron Nola was part of the hot dog, and so was Trey Turner, both players that we couldn't pair together. And then on top of that, Toronto, very tilting because it seemed like they were both going to get their overs, especially Bo, who got to 5 fantasy points in the first at bat. And then Vlad couldn't hit him in. And then because of that, Vlad also didn't get there as well. Close. We knew that was part of the worry because both of them were heavy favorites to get their under fantasy score projection. I echoed that, these lines have been extremely tight. So I will take 50% on the day when we have tight lines like we have had the last 2 days. Now, today's not as bad, but it's going to be a day in which we are trying to chase the Flex Friday slip. So obviously the odds are not exactly going to be in our favor. Let's go in and get into which ones are going to be my favorite props for the day. All right, so I am recording this pretty early on in the morning. Typically, I try to come out with the videos a little bit later just so we could have more props. But I felt like we had enough out there. Looking at right now, the pitcher strikeout props are the only over bets that we are seeing that we might want to chase. And especially Martin Perez here. Now, it's not a perfect prop, basically a 50% prop to hit. If you want to roll with that, you could. We look at Yu Darvish for over 6.5 strikeouts. That's great. About a 52% chance to hit, but not projected to get there. So there is a chance that I do come out with another maybe afternoon video. I would say let's do that whole thing again. If this video gets 100 likes, I'll happily do another video around 2 p.m. Central Standard Time today. But it is looking like it could be a nice day for hitting fantasy score. Okay. The last few days, it's been unfortunate. We just haven't had those props out there, ones in which we'd really want to be attacking. And our favorite MLB player, Matt Olson, is popping up once again for over fantasy points. What are we going to do with that? All right. He's hit, I think literally 50% because he's been popping up that much. But he hurt us 2 straight slates in a row, whereas a 6 slip bet, I think, and a 4 slip bet that he ruined. So it's still a little bit of sour taste in our mouths with that. But let's go ahead and take a peek at Matt Olson. So Matt Olson last game, all right, 2 hits, 1 RBI, 1 home run. So yeah, he definitely would have got the over there. 2 straight kind of bad games then. 8 points, 16 points, and this is on DraftKings, so it's a little bit different. And then there's that 3-game lull in there where he was struggling. So let's take a peek at that game over and under, see if it is a game we want to be attacking, and it's going to be 10.5 for an over and under. That is great. So if we pull up Matt Olson here, 7.5 fantasy points does seem to be a little bit too low. So that is one that I think we can firmly go ahead and look at today. And then from there, we got Bo again. It's kind of crazy because he has been someone that has been popping up a lot for the over Vegas fantasy score projection wise. So he's favored to get over the PrizePicks line by 2.39. But I do want to point this out. He is a heavy underdog. Okay. So I guess it wouldn't be too shocking to see him not get the over, but worth noting that he is also projected to get the over as well. The projection data does skew more towards the over typically, but it's nice to see that, both are suggesting that he should be able to get the over. So if we look at it, looking like a good prop on paper. And then let's just take a peek at that game as well. 9 points, so not exactly a game that we're staying away from. Okay, so not terrible. And if we look at it there with him, yes, he probably should have at least got a push yesterday. It really felt like that. It's just more unlucky to not get there. But we can see 4 out of the past 5 games, he's not been able to get the over. I think that is why the data has kind of been liking him a lot recently, just given the fact that he hasn't been able to get there. It's kind of that regression back to their norm. So not a terrible one there. This one with Kyle Tucker is not terrible. I don't know if I want to chase that. I think I'd rather go Mike Trout for over 8 fantasy points. That seems kind of low for him as well. And that game is going to be a 9.5 over and under, more favoring the under there. So, don't particularly love that, but he has been someone that, once again, kind of, I would say, due to have, an RBI and a hit, maybe a base on balls as well to be able to get the over fantasy score. So looking like a decent prop there. I feel like we have 3 solid hitting props today that are all, maybe besides Bo, I would say are better than the ones that we were getting on the last 2 days, which is encouraging to me. Looking at some unders, I typically don't like to target the unders, but those are out there. And then just worth noting with the Matt Olson one, like the Vegas odds are favoring the over there as well. To me, that's pretty huge. That's something I probably could echo a little bit more. I more or less like to see when they're pushes here. Like Brian Reynolds, not a terrible one today as well. So that's kind of it for the MLB props. Let's go ahead and get into some PGA props because we could potentially be having a very nice edge today. So I say potentially because yesterday the course kind of played as expected. Whereas it was a lot easier than a lot of people were thinking. I thought that was going to be within the realm of possibility. That based off of how the course looked, people were just kind of assuming it would play difficult because it was a US Open. And I was like, I don't really see that. I see this course being one that's going to reward golfers playing good golf and hitting good shots. And we saw that happen. But also at the same time, it does look like today, based off of the setups, that they're going to make it play more difficult. And I do think for those of you guys that don't know golf, like the green speeds very much matter. And I think they're going to play increasingly more fast today, tomorrow, and Sunday. And they were so pure on Thursday, like everyone was making these deep putts. And so there weren't as high scores, maybe because the greens weren't as lightning fast as people were hoping for, but they're pretty pure. So at the end of the day, I couldn't really complain about that, but it did lead to some easier scoring. The point I'm trying to make here is that a lot of people were unhappy with that. A lot of people want the US Open to play more difficult. There were 2 US Open records set by Ricky Fowler and Xander Schauffele, who were both outright bets that I called out on my write-ups on YouTube. And then Xander Schauffele was actually a first-round leader as well. So there was predictability there, and I hope we can have that again. But they don't want that to happen. The USGA doesn't want that to happen. A lot of fans were upset because of that. So I would imagine that they are going to make the course play more difficult. And if we just look at the pin placements, we're going to see a lot more tucked pin placements. So hole number 5, whatever, it's a par 5, a little bit tucked. I mean, it's in the back behind a bunker. So if people want to go for it, they're probably going to be in that bunker, and there's going to be heavy rough. So maybe not as many birdies there. Tuck pin location, tuck pin location, tuck pin location. And then for people that don't know, tuck pin locations are pretty much going to mean players can't attack the pin. Thus, they're going to be having to miss here, which is going to be a longer putt, obviously not as likely to make putt. And so we look here, another tuck pin location, another tuck, like they're all tucked today. Maybe not that one, a little bit tucked, not too bad. But the point I'm trying to make here is a lot of these greens that we are getting, a lot of the pin placements that we are getting on greens today are going to make it more difficult to score on. And I would imagine some of the tee boxes are probably going to be pushed back as well. So we look at the PrizePicks props that are out there for PGA. One, the birdies are better, seem a little bit high to me. I know it was a scoring track yesterday, but that seems high to me. And if we look at the strokes, these seem a little bit too low to me. They're kind of giving us these props based off of how the course played yesterday, not based off of how it probably will play today. The thing with it is I don't exactly have an answer to which ones I want to be on exactly. It's kind of like yesterday where I'm like, we kind of just want to pair them all together. And if we hit a 4-slip bet, 5-slip bet, great. If we don't, oh well, we knew that was part of the risk. That's kind of what I'm seeing today. But let's go ahead and look at the prop chart to see which props are popping up the best. And so we'll see one I want to call out is going to be Patrick Cantlay. And I should also note that if we go to like the round 1 showdown, which is for DraftKings, which is a contest that whatever DFS, but if we go to the showdown ranking for him, he is one of the best for round 2. So I hate the fact that the data tag is suggesting we want to bet the over. But once again, I kind of agree with that based off of how the course probably will play today. That being said, this 70 that's out there, given the fact that he is the best round 2 showdown play, I feel like we can bet the under there on Underdog. That to me screams to be a good bet. But there's no way that Patrick Cantlay and Xander Schauffele should be that different. Patrick Cantlay has a ton of course experience. He really couldn't get anything going in the last round. And so kind of one thing you can do to determine who's going to play well, and there's a lot more that goes into this than what I'm about to show you guys, but what you could do is just sort by the golfers that putted poorly that are expected to putt better in round 2. And so some players, Justin Rose, Terrell Hatton, Hideki, and we can look at that. We also see Patrick Cantlay would be one of those players that, putted much poorly than expected compared to the field. And so here we look at this, like, sure, for Shane Lowry, it's saying that we should bet the under. I didn't really have that high of expectations for him. I would kind of maybe more lean towards the over. The thing is, like, we have a lot of over bets that we can make stroke wise. I think it's going to play much more difficult. Thus, I do think it's going to be one in which there are going to be a lot less birdies made. So maybe for someone like Tony Finau, maybe we bet the under birdies. I don't know if I want to do that with Patrick Cantlay. But once again, that kind of shows you the flaw in both Underdog and PrizePicks with his scoring one. Like, why would Underdog have him set at 70 for a stroke prop when they're giving him 4 birdies? He's typically one that doesn't make that many bogeys. It's just a weird prop. It doesn't really correlate. It's strange. I don't get it. Victor Hovland probably would want to bet the under birdies or better as well. We're just getting a lot of those. So let's take a peek at where we have the biggest edge. And once again, I don't know if I really want to roll with these too much, but if the course does play more difficult, it is tough to imagine Xander, Scotty, and Rory not shooting over the stroke prop. Those are pretty aggressive. Like this would be suggesting 3 under par for these guys, which is not out of the question given how they shot yesterday for sure. But I do think the course is going to be significantly more difficult. I do want to get into some birdie or better matchups as well. So Jon Rahm versus Victor Hovland. Victor Hovland chipped in for birdie on one, and then he ended up being kind of got hot because of that, and then beat Jon Rahm birdie or better yesterday. This is one of the biggest edges we had projection wise, and Jon Rahm just couldn't really make a putt. He tickled the green a bunch though, and so I kind of expect some of those to go his way, and obviously you don't really expect someone to chip in for birdie as well. So chances are, yeah, Jon Rahm probably will be a better round 2 pick for this. So I kind of like that, and I do just want to compare the two plays as showdown plays. So not a big spread here. Jon Rahm, 4th best showdown play in round 2. Victor Hovland, 10th best. So not a huge edge there, but it is nice to see that Jon Rahm is favored there. Let's go ahead and take a peek at Ricky versus Shane Lowry. Probably maybe a stay away. Shane Lowry isn't actually a terrible showdown play. I mean, Ricky's not bad, but I want to see kind of the double verification here where it both tells us that they're both going to do well. So maybe not touching that one. I don't mind this one though. Rory to get less birdies than Patrick Cantlay. We already established that Patrick Cantlay in some capacity could be a good prop bet today. So I don't mind that. And then just taking a look at some of the props that we have here. Fairway hit. I find these interesting. I kind of think maybe the fairways will play a little bit faster today. And so someone like Jordan Spieth, I kind of expect to get the under. Typically speaking, he doesn't hit that many fairways, and he should be able to. These are pretty open fairways, but I do think they're going to set the course up to where the ball runs off into the rough a little bit more. So I do think the under fairways hit for Jordan is going to be a good one. And then I actually don't mind that for Rory as well. But once again, the edges on these are not huge. Like we're betting on the course to play more difficult. All right, so let's go ahead and get into the bet of the day for today. All right, so looking at the bet of the day, I'm going to go with those first 3 really solid hitting fantasy score props that we have. And then from there, it does get a lot more tight. I want to make this clear. Like I probably would not be putting these last 3 ones on there in a bet slip like this if it weren't for it being a Flex Friday type slate. Okay, I want to give you guys a Flex Friday slip. Okay, this is the best one that I see currently. If you guys are coming in here and not trying to make a Flex Friday slip, I would say these would be the top 3 props that we would want to do, and you wouldn't want to do these 2 or these ones. Okay, just want to make that clear. And so what I'm going to do is, and I've already done it, is I'm kind of placing some PGA props with the expectation that the course could play the same as it did yesterday. And so betting some of those unders on Underdog, like Patrick Cantlay. But I'm also putting some over bets on Underdog I'm also putting some over bets on PrizePicks. I hate Underdog's name so much because PrizePicks seems to be having the stroke props lower than Underdog. God, I hate Underdog's name so much. It makes it so much more difficult. It makes it confusing. But anyways, Underdog is overvaluing the golfers a little bit, whereas PrizePicks seems to be undervaluing it a little bit. And that's how I'd bet. And just real quickly, there is the potential that we could be doing some more birdie or bogey or worse ones. Bogey or worse props. Maybe do like higher for DJ. If it does play more difficult, obviously there's going to be more bogeys made. So there is potential for that, like Brooks over 2.5 bogeys. The course plays faster too on the greens. He made a lot of par save putts, so that'd be one that I think we could chase as well. All right, but that's gonna be it. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the coverage. If you did, make sure to give a like and subscribe. That does help out the channel. Let's have a good slate today. Let's have a bounce back slate. It is kind of crazy. I mean, sure, kind of bad day with hot dogs. That's the first time recording a hot dog or Taco Tuesday or the cod fillet in which there's been more than 1 unit lost. Basically, all of them have been pushes or plus money. That further echoes the point of we need to be taking advantage of that as free promo money, right? Just want to keep echoing that. All right, let's have a good slate. And as always, let's keep cashing.